Alright guys, good morning. I'm Miss Johnson, as you all know. We're going to be continuing on with our book study of Because of Winn-Dixie, but today we're going to go a little more into depth about the characters. So we've made it through chapters 1 through 3, and so we are going to go in more depth about the characters and try to figure out who they are and where in the book that proves that. So, I want you guys to read the objective with me. Just repeat after me, okay? I will be able to talk about the characters in the book by identifying character traits and using the book to support my ideas. Good job. So, you're probably thinking, what does this have to do with me? Because, we all just get kind of stuck sometimes and we're like, why do we have to do this? I don't want to do this. So we're going to be talking about something called character traits. And you guys are going to do an activity where you use someone that is special and close to you. We're going to think of them as our special person. And you're going to list things about them that describe them. So when you list those things, those are going to be considered character traits. And then when you also think about it, I kind of want to know what kind of connection to the future might this have. And so in the book, Opal and her daddy, they moved to Naomi, Florida, which is a completely new place for Opal and her dad. And her dad moves there for a new job. He is going to be the new preacher at the new church. And sometimes in careers, when you get older or just in life, you have to move to a new place. Or with you guys, you have to go to a new school. Some of you guys will be going up to middle school in a couple years. You got to go to a new school, a new class, meet new people. It can be really tough sometimes to have that transition. So I'm going to read the agenda for you guys. I did not write it on the board, but I'm going to read it for you. So we read the objective, check, and we're going to reread the end of chapter 3. I'm going to do that in just a minute. You guys are going to think about a person who is close to you, and you're going to list 5 things about them. And then when you list those 5 things, you're going to write those in your writing journal, okay? So make sure you go ahead and have your writing journals out because we will need those a lot today. We're going to share out with the class some of our ideas that you came up with about your special person. We're going to define the vocabulary word for character traits. And then we're going to choose your favorite character in the book so far. I'm going to give you 3 options. It's going to be between Opal, the preacher, and Winn-Dixie, because those are our main characters thus far in the book. So, and then once you figure out your favorite person, you're going to list 5 traits about them. 5 descriptive facts. So character traits are going to be descriptive facts. And then you're going to draw the character. And then using the graphic organizer, this will be our little test at the end, our assessment. So you're going to use a graphic organizer and you're going to write the traits that you already listed about your character, but then you're going to use your book to go and find proof of those traits that you found. So we are going to jump right into it. So I'm just going to go through and I'm going to reread page 24 and 25. He said, I was working on a sermon and kind of muttering to himself, Daddy, I wanted to show you the new Winn-Dixie. The preacher put down his pencil and rubbed his nose. Finally, he looked up. Well, he said, smiling real big at Winn-Dixie, well now, don't you look handsome? Winn-Dixie smiled back at the preacher. He went over to put his head on the preacher's lap. Well, he smells nice too, said the preacher. He rubbed Winn-Dixie's head and looked into his eyes. Daddy, I said real quick before I lost all my nerve, I've been talking to Winn-Dixie. Is that right?" the preacher said. He scratched Winn-Dixie's head. "I've been talking to him, and he agreed with me that since I'm 10 years old, you should tell me 10 things about my mama. Just 10 things, that's all." The preacher stopped rubbing Winn-Dixie's head and held real still. I could see him thinking about pulling his head back into his shell. "One thing for each year I've been alive," I told him. "Please?" Winn-Dixie looked up at the preacher and kind of gave him a nudge with his nose. The preacher sighed. He said to Winn-Dixie, "I should have guessed you were going to be trouble." Then he looked at me. "Come on, Opal," he said. "Sit down, and I will tell you 10 things about your mama." So, Opal wants to know 10 things about her mama. Her mama was her special person. So now we're going to take this time, and I want you guys to think about someone that's special to you, okay? And while we think about those ideas, I'm going to think about somebody that's special to me, and I'm going to write some of those character traits on the board. So I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes, and we're going to write those out. Alright, so now that you've taken the time and you've written some of those out, we are going to move right along. And then I want you guys to take a minute and I want you guys to share some of your people. And I'll start when I'll share mine. So I wrote about my son. He has red hair, he has blue eyes, he's funny, and he's outgoing. So with all of those things, if you were to see him, I could give you proof that all of those things are in fact true. So now I want you guys to take some time to share out with me. Okay, Shannon. Oh, Shannon, that's awesome. I'm glad you chose your sister as your special person. All right, Marty. Okay. Oh, your dad sounds like an awesome guy. Okay, Nick. You chose to write about Marty. That's even cool. That's even better. That's awesome. So now, moving right along. So those 5 things you wrote in your writing journals, and I wrote mine on the board. So now we are going to list some characters that we have seen in the book so far. So we have, can you guys give me some? Winn-Dixie, we got Winn-Dixie. All right, who else? We got Opal. Who else? And we got the preacher. And the preacher is who? Opal's daddy. You are right. So, since we have these characters on the board, I want us to list some traits about these characters. So before we list these traits, does anybody know what a character trait might be? Okay. All right. So a character trait is a specific key quality about a person. It's what makes that person unique and what makes that person who they are. Okay, so throughout our book, we've gotten to know quite a few characters, and we've listed some of the characters on the board. So now I want us to think about some of the things that that we know about the characters so far. So let's think about Winn-Dixie. Where did we meet Winn-Dixie? We met him in the grocery store, so he got his name from the grocery store. So we can write that. All right, and let's think one thing about Opal. We know that she plays softball, because that can be found in our book. And what's some things that we know about the preacher? He seems kind of shy, kind of nervous, so we can write that in there as a character trait. So that was a really, really good job listing those characters. And then we also, we're going to go through our book and see, let's see, in the part that we just said, where it says, hang on. So when he says that the preacher can be kind of nervous or kind of shy, we read this part right here. It says that the preacher stopped rubbing Winn-Dixie's head and he held real still. He got nervous when Opal asked him to tell him 10 things about her mama. He got nervous and he got shy. So that could be something that we wrote in our book. So for our assessment at the end, you're going to write that line and then you'll write the page number. So that was a really good job, guys. So now for this part of the lesson, I want you guys to pick one of the 3 characters, which would be Opal, the preacher, or Winn-Dixie. And I want you to be thinking about why that character is your favorite so far. So I've given you time to think about your favorite character, and now I want to see your creative side. So don't put your writing journals away just yet. We're going to move right along into the next activity.